Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Quick Take and welcome back to another video of me covering The Last of Us. Now, episode 2 has arrived. It arrived a couple of days ago. Before doing my review, I wanted to let it kind of stew on the online sphere on Twitter, see how people kind of thought, and watch it a few times myself before giving my full thoughts on it. And I think it's a pretty good episode. It opens up with, not with Joel and Ellie, however, it opens up in Jakarta, where it was teased in the first episode that there was disruptions there, and it was heavily kind of suggested that that is the origin of the cordyceps outbreak, and we now know confirmed that the outbreak came from, I think it was a flour and grain mill in Jakarta. It's a very good opening scene. Well, I'll say it's a very good opening scene. It's probably one of the best opening scenes to a show that I've seen in a long time. I've said seen way too many times, but it was really good. It was brilliant the way it built up to the reveal that there could be no vaccine. Obviously, the doctor they brought in, I think she was the head of the department at the university or whatever, which covers fungus and that kind of stuff. There's a slow build as realization sets in as to what kind of danger we're facing, well, in the show that the people in the world are facing, and when she hears how many people are infected and how many people could be infected, she almost has that moment of, oh shit, the world's going to end. And she's like, she's holding a cup of tea and it starts shaking in her hand, and it's all very well done. And, you know, she says there's no cure, there's no vaccine, and the only option is to bomb the city, basically, and try and stop the spread to the rest of the world. But, you know, it's too late. It's already in the flour. The flour's been shipped off, and I did have a video planned. I did write a script, and I actually did record it. Kind of detailing the events in the first episode, and kind of breaking down all the times Joel and Sarah and even Tommy came close to getting affected through pancakes and cookies with raisins and that kind of stuff. But by the time I was ready to upload it, episode 2 had dropped, and I was kind of busy in the meantime. I was quite a busy time with college, and I'm working a lot. So yeah. I kind of ran out of time, unfortunately. But we then move on. We then return to Joel and Ellie and Tess. They are out of the quarantine zone and they're in the city, and it's quite a good scene in the mornings where you kind of get you can kind of see the characters bounce off each other more. Joel and Ellie even have their kind of jokes towards each other at the very start. She's like, "Is there anything bad in there?" And he said, "Only you." And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure this is the first episode directed by Neil Druckmann, which probably is why it felt so much like the game in that sense. But then moving on, we got some explanation about how the cordyceps virus works in this world, and how it's almost like a hive mind set, almost a bit like Stranger Things in Stranger Things Season 4. I don't know if you've seen it, you probably have. The whole thing kind of reminded me of Vecna from Stranger Things Season 4, where everything is kind of connected. He can sense where everyone is due to disturbances on the kind of the roots on the ground, and them killing animals and that kind of stuff, or them killing his, I don't know what they are, demon bats, whatever. It's very similar, and I think Mazin took a lot of inspiration from Stranger Things Season 4, even in the first episode with the use of the song at the end. That song being "Never Let Me Down Again" by Depeche Mode. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the band's name, but it's almost similar to Kate Bush's "Running Up That Hill," the way it was kind of used, and they're trying to bring back 80s music and kind of have that as the unofficial theme, if you will, maybe. But yeah, brilliant episode. We got some more, as I said, we saw some more of the use of the tendrils, and they're a lot more versatile than spores. Spores were never really used in a way where they were alive. They were kind of just there, but the tendrils, you can tell that they're almost alive, and they're really horrible the way they move. As I said in the intro, the Dr. Levy, she's taking the tendrils out of the mouth of one of the first victims, and they start kind of moving towards her in a really horrible way. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really horrible to see. It really makes you kind of squirm in your seat when you're watching it. There were some complaints, however, from some fans. I saw some people saying that they didn't like Ellie, that they find her really annoying. And I don't know if they played the game. This could be people who have never played the game, or if they're going into the show completely blind. But this is Ellie's character. She's a teenage girl who is full of energy, full of life, and she's in a horrible situation in the world, and the way she's getting around that is through humour and breaking people's balls and that kind of stuff. That's just who she is at this point. You're going to see a whole different Ellie in Season 2, which, in fact, reminds me, actually, this is coming out from Bella Ramsey herself, actually. This is an article from the BBC. The Last of Us star Bella Ramsey says second series is likely. The teenage star of The Last of Us has said she believes its popularity has made a second series likely, which kind of backs up what my and Neil Druckmann said, that, you know, if the fan support was there, and if it was successful enough, HBO would greenlight a second series, or if not a third series as well. Because I think he also said that it would take more than one series to tell the full story of season 2 of the second game. There's so many kind of storylines they want to explore further, and I think that's true. I think there's a lot more to do with Seraphites as well in that case. We got to see the scene where Joel and Ellie and Tess take on the Clickers for the first time. I think that's also the first time in the game where we come up against Clickers in the old museum, where it's kind of was really horrible. And I think they did a really good job with the sound. I think if I remember correctly, the people from the game returned to do the sound for the Clickers, and the prosthetics were just brilliant. I don't know how much CGI was used, but it looks so good and so real. And the way they moved as well was perfect to the game as well. That kind of, the clickers, and they almost move as they click. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost so janky the way they move. It's brilliant and horrifying at the same time. They did a really good job. Neil Druckmann did a really good job kind of bringing in so much from the game. Even in the hotel scene at the start when Tess and Joel and Ellie are going through the hotel as like the kind of the slower option but less deadly, because you don't have to face the clickers. And the kind of Ellie does a little thing like pretending to be someone ordering a room. Very, very similar to the game in that sense, but very good. This episode was also a lot shorter than the first episode. It was only around about 50 minutes, 48 minutes, something like that. It's not too bad, but I think it kind of works in that sense. But I'm not too sure how much they're going to add from the games into the show. There's only going to be 9 episodes, and one of those episodes is doing a full kind of deep dive into the characters Frank and Bill. Obviously these characters weren't huge characters in the game, but they're spending one of the longest episodes, if not the longest episode, kind of going over these characters and exploring their backgrounds, which I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I think the main focus should be really on Joel and Ellie, as it's their story. But who knows? Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised when episode 3 rolls around. As I said, I love the show and I love the characters in it. I just think that it might take away from the amount of source material left in the 7 episodes or 6 episodes after that. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult to cram in everything that happens in Pittsburgh, everything that happens with David, everything that happens on the lead up to the hospital, even stuff after the hospital. You know, the game doesn't just end with Joel taking Ellie away from the Fireflies. There's a bit after that as well that they're going to have to explore. I said that could probably be done in season 2, but I just think there should have been maybe like a 12 or a 14 episode show, maybe not a 9 episode show. That's my only worry at the moment. But yeah, I think it was a great episode. Towards the end, we saw Tess was revealed to be infected, as same in the game, and the way they did it was a lot different, and I think it worked a lot better than the game. In the game, Tess kind of just she's fighting against, I think, Fedra instead of infected, and you know, so kind of a bit of a gunfight and then she's dead. But in the show, it's so horrific. She kind of sacrifices herself, but the infected, they see her and they don't just charge after her and try and rip her apart. They kind of slowly walk up to her and they kind of recognize, I don't know if they can see that she's infected and that she doesn't really pose a threat or anything, but she's trying to light this lighter to blow them up, and it's just not going, and they get so close that they actually kiss. It's not a kiss, but it's the way how I think they spread. It's a really horrible way of spreading. It's almost like a Dementor's kiss from Harry Potter. It's the way they spread the infection from one to another, and they're kind of spreading the tendrils from their mouth. It's a really horrible way. Imagine having that in your mouth and just knowing that this is going to take over your brain, and horrible. And I love it. Some people didn't like it. Some people thought it was a bit too dark, but I thought it was brilliant. And I think Anna Torv did brilliant. I still need to work on a ranking system. Once I do have it in place, I'll be ranking the first episode and the second episode in said system. But thank you all so much for watching. If you did like the video, then please like the video. And if you've got this far, say hello to me in the comments. Why not? Yeah. And also, if you're new, make sure you do subscribe. It's the button just below the video. Yes. And also, if you want to, you know, get updated when I upload, bell notifications is right there. You know how to do it. You've been on YouTube for long enough, probably. Hope you have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.